I'm Teresa. It's been 2 months since the storm hit our relationship, and we're now in this strange limbo. My boyfriend, now more of a roommate in many ways, sold his car. We split everything evenly, cancelled subscriptions, and his friend, Lucy, stopped coming around. She was always egging him on to leave me and find someone who'd fund his lifestyle. Just last week, he asked about counseling. I told him, maybe. But the emergency fund stays in my account. He then asked when I'd trust him again. I looked him straight in the eye and said the truth, I don't know. People often ask me if I regret cutting him off, if it was cruel. I don't think so. He made it clear what he thought my value was, and I decided to test that. It all started to go downhill 8 months ago. My boyfriend, Ryan, quit his job in advertising. He claimed the work environment was toxic and that it was killing his creativity. I was working in investment banking at the time, with a steady job and a reliable income. I supported him emotionally and financially because that's what you do when you love someone. You give them a safety net to land on. We'd been together for 6 years. We met in our late 20s at a mutual friend's wedding. Ryan was charming, with a warm smile and a talent for self-deprecating jokes. He made me feel special just by paying attention. In the beginning, our relationship felt balanced. We split expenses, planned vacations, and talked about a future together. But as time went on, I became the stable one, and he became the one who needed constant support. He started spending a lot of time with Lucy, who was also unemployed. They'd go to cafes, boutiques, and brunches, and I ended up paying for it all indirectly. One Wednesday night, about 3 weeks ago, I stopped to pick up Italian food on my way home. Ryan had texted me earlier, saying he didn't feel like cooking. When I walked into the apartment, the smell of garlic and tomatoes filled the air. He was on the couch, scrolling on his phone. I said, "Got your favorite," as I placed the bags on the coffee table. He replied flatly, "Thanks," without even looking up. I went to get plates. When I came back, he was taking pictures of the food for Instagram, adjusting the lighting. I asked, "How was your day?" He said it was fine, and that he'd met Lucy for coffee. During dinner, we ate in a heavy, practiced silence. Then, I brought up something I'd been avoiding. I was looking at the credit card statement. There was a $300 charge at that fancy spa downtown. He didn't even look up and said, "That was a facial." "Lucy and I went last week." I said, "You mentioned a facial, but you didn't say it was $300. He snapped, "It's not that expensive. You're being dramatic." I felt my chest tighten. "We've talked about budgeting. You're not working, and I'm covering everything right now. $300 matters." That's when he finally looked at me, with that familiar look of annoyance and contempt. "Here we go again with your money talk," he said. "It's not just money talk. It's reality," I replied. He laughed and said, "Reality? Please. It's your account that you let me use. You've always held the money over my head. Every purchase makes me feel guilty." I said, "I'm not trying to make you feel guilty. I'm trying to make sure we don't go broke." He retorted coldly, "You only see numbers. You don't understand anything emotional." I shot back, "Someone has to see the numbers because you're treating our account like it's bottomless." Then, he set his phone down slowly and stared into my eyes. "You're only useful when you're paying. Emotionally, you're a burden," he said. The words hit me like a sledgehammer, but not all at once. They settled in slowly, like ash after an explosion. I looked at my half-eaten pasta, and my appetite disappeared. "Good to know," I said quietly. He scoffed, "Don't go all silent and wounded. It's exhausting." I stood up, put my plate in the sink, and walked to the bedroom. He didn't follow. I could hear the TV in the living room, the volume turned up just enough to make a point. That night, I didn't cry. By morning, I knew things had changed fundamentally. It wasn't anger or revenge I felt, it was clarity. I remembered that 3 years into our relationship, long before he quit his job, I'd started setting aside money. It wasn't a secret in a sneaky way, it was just a separate savings account in my name. I called it my emergency fund. At first, it was small amounts from bonuses, tax refunds, and the occasional overtime. Over 3 years, it grew to $47,000. I never told him about it, not because I planned to leave, but because I understood the importance of stability. The next morning, I went to a bank near my office and transferred $40,000 into a new account in my name only, with no shared access or notifications. I left $7,000 in the old account, enough to make it look normal if he ever checked. Then I went to work as if nothing had happened. When I came home that evening, Ryan was overly cheerful. He'd cooked my favorite chicken parmesan. He kissed my cheek as if the night before had never happened. I felt bad. I was harsh, he said lightly. I just nodded. As he talked about taking an online course and needing a new laptop, I listened, but my mind was elsewhere. After dinner, while he was in the bath, I sat on the couch and made some phone calls. I reduced his credit card limit to $500, updated the car insurance payment to my new account, and changed all the subscriptions to charge my personal card. I didn't block anything, I just stopped subsidizing his lifestyle. Over the next few days, money drained from the joint account. Ryan never checked. Exactly 2 weeks after our fight, his card declined at a cafe. He called me, furious. My card isn't working. Fix it, he snapped. I said calmly, call the bank. I'm at work. He was embarrassed and said he didn't have another card. I replied, then you'll need to sort it out, and hung up. That evening, he came home raging. There's only $200 in our account. Why didn't you deposit your paycheck? I said evenly, I did, into my account. He stared at me in disbelief. Your account? What the hell, Teresa? You told me I'm only useful when I'm paying, so I stopped paying. I continued, I'll cover my half of rent and utilities. Everything else is on you. He said he didn't have a job, and I told him to get one. He accused me of financial abuse, but I said, this is about setting boundaries. He slept on the couch that night, and for the first time in years, I slept deeply. The next morning, the apartment felt like a place I didn't recognize. It wasn't tense, it was cold, like two strangers sharing the same space under an unspoken truce. By noon, his mother called. Her voice was tight with concern. Ryan is here. He's been crying all morning. I replied calmly, I didn't cut him off. I stopped funding his lifestyle. She said he claimed I'd taken money without telling him. I said, I moved my income to my own account. That's autonomy, not theft. She insisted that he was my partner and that he was struggling. I retorted, he's been struggling for 8 months while telling me I'm an emotional burden. She tried to guilt-trip me and used words like cruel, but I ended the call politely. Ryan stayed at his mother's place all weekend. When he came back on Monday, he didn't apologize. But something had changed. He started checking job boards, something I hadn't seen him do in months. On Tuesday night, he asked if I'd help him update his resume. It was the first time in a long time he asked instead of assumed. I said yes, and we worked side by side for an hour, almost like old times. On Wednesday evening, I came home to find him sitting on the bedroom floor, crying. In his hands was the envelope with our emergency cash. Why is this almost empty? He asked, his voice shaking. I moved the rest last week, I said evenly. That was our emergency fund, he said. I contributed most of it, I replied. You stopped contributing when you stopped working. He suddenly accused me, you planned this. You're leaving. I corrected him, I'm protecting myself. There's a difference. The next morning, he rummaged through my drawers, closet, and desk, looking for money. He found nothing. By Friday, he had a job interview. He came home tired, humbled. It's a coordinator role. It pays less than before, he said. I replied, that's still income. He started the new job the following Monday. When he came home that night, he was exhausted. It's draining, he admitted. I told him he'd adjust, and slowly, he did. 2 weeks into his new job, he brought up the money again. I need access to more money. My paycheck isn't enough, he said, standing in the kitchen as if bracing for a fight. I asked, for what? He said, my car, my phone, living expenses. I replied, you're paying your half now. That's adulthood. You're being petty, and I'm being fair. That night, he broke down. He really cried, with no accusations. I'm sorry. I was depressed, and I took it out on you. I didn't mean what I said, he said. I believed he was sorry, but I just didn't know if sorry was enough. Those hurtful words didn't come out of nowhere, they'd been building up for a long time. He asked if we could fix things, and I told him I didn't know. Now, we're in this strange place, unsure of where our relationship is headed. Maybe we'll rebuild something honest, or maybe we won't. But one thing is for sure, I'll never again mistake love for funding someone who resents me.